Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Hi, welcome to Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. On today's show, we're going to look at one of the top 5 players on the Bengals roster, do a player preview. I've got a book coming out in training camp that you guys will be able to download. Maybe you'll get your hands on a physical copy if I see you at camp. But it's going to have scouting reports on every single player, their strengths, weaknesses, grades on every category that makes up each position, because every position is different, right? So I wanted to take a player because the conversation going around the internet is, who's the best number 2 receiver in the NFL? Well, I'm not going to answer that today. We could say it's Tee Higgins, and I wouldn't argue against it at all. Let's dive into Tee Higgins and see who he is, what he can do, what he can't do. I think some of the narrative that he's just a downfield, big body, jump ball, 50-50 type guy is a little misguided. Well, I think he's tremendous at that. I think there's a lot more to Tee Higgins' game. And I think if we dive into the film and look at some of these highlights over the last 3 years, I think that becomes very clear. Before we get to the film, I want to give a preview for what you're going to see when you get this training camp book that's being produced by First Star Logistics. But Tee Higgins going into his year 4 with the Bengals, second round pick number 33. Remember, same draft. Joe Burrow, Tee Higgins, Logan Wilson. We'll see if all 3 of these guys get extensions. Maybe one of them has been extended by the time this is airing, because we're expecting those potentially to hit any day now. But Tee Higgins, counting his playoff stats, which I like to do because he's missed some time. He's had some concussions. Those Steelers looked like they were going right for his head. Jets did the same thing the following week, or 2 weeks later, I should say. I like to use the playoff stats because it's been a big part of who the Bengals are the last 3 years, especially the last 2, obviously. But in those 3 years now, Tee Higgins has seen 366 targets. He's caught 246 balls for 3,485 yards, a total of 22 touchdowns, 2 of those coming in the Super Bowl. Can't forget that. 4.2 yards after the catch average, which is decent. We'll get to the grading scale and go over it. But his catch in traffic went, for a career now, 3 years, it's 44%. It's gone up every year. This past year, it was at 58%. So we're talking 50-50 balls, contested situations, defenders draped over your back. He's catching it at 58% of the time last season. I expect that number to be closer to that than it was the first 2 years in the league. That's kind of a Tee Higgins superpower. But when Joe Burrow's throwing him the ball, and Brandon Allen too, if you remember the end of 2020, but the quarterback has a passer rating of 111, which is outstanding if you're targeting Tee Higgins. So let's pull up his player page and let's go over his grading before we hit the film. So this is what you'll see when you get the book before training camp. And it'll have grades on every single player. You see Tee Higgins' name right there, number 5. But in the star, there is an 81.5. I alluded to that in the beginning when I showed the top 5 players I have graded on the Bengals roster. 81.5 is very good. It's a cornerstone player. He is somebody you want to keep and you want to extend, especially at his age, right? And the analysis reads here, you can probably already see it, but a big-bodied receiver with big play potential. Higgins is routinely confused for being 6'4", 6'5". Although we list him here as 6'4", he actually is 6'3" and 5/8 inches, which surprises a lot of people when you talk to him, because we'll round it up to 6'4". But a lot of people think he's 6'5" by the way he gets over and extends above the rim and catches these 50-50 balls. But that's what I say here. He is excellent at 50-50 jump balls because of his ball tracking ability to high point the football, leap above defenders, and use that ridiculous wingspan of 81 inches to pluck the ball away in the air. And now why I say his wingspan is ridiculous, because 81 inches, your wingspan should correlate to your height. If you use his wingspan, Tee Higgins should be 6'7.5" tall. So he's definitely got those condor arms on him, and that's, you can see it when he goes up above it. But I continue, and while that has always been a strength of Higgins to play above the rim, he has become much more than that. T has become a better route runner over his 3 years in Cincinnati. You don't often see a long receiver being able to sink his hips and make clean cuts in and out of breaks. When you're already worried about this guy beating you deep, adding that layer of route running ability makes Higgins a more complete weapon. And now we've got the film queued up for you guys. We're going to look at Tee Higgins being a vertical threat. We're going to look at him going downfield, and we're going to start it from his rookie season, go to 2021, and then all the way finish at 2022. So we'll let it clip or let it play, and I'll jump in when I have to. Enjoy the highlights for now. If I already feel like I need to jump in, but remember, they couldn't hit a deep ball to save their life in 2020. And when that one happened, I remember saying, we finally got one. And that was one of them. I will talk during this now that I'm thinking it. So what does it take to be a vertical guy? If Tee Higgins is a 4.55 runner, he's not the fastest guy, right? How is he such a good deep threat? How is he such a good vertical threat? I mean, I think it's clear when you see things like this. He tracks the ball well. He locates it first, then tracks it and plays it very well. High pointing when he can, using that long frame, long arms, letting the ball come to him, being in better position than the defensive back almost all the time, being able to catch despite being pushed, grabbed, pulled, good body control downfield. And these are catches from Brandon Allen, as Tee Higgins was a rookie, a 21-year-old rookie. Some of you may not have still been watching at this time, I think. This was after Burrow got hurt. They found a way to compete in these final month or so because they were on pace to pick pretty high. And they did pick high. They picked 5th and drafted Jamar Chase. This is one of the best catches. Using his hands to run the routes. You see that? You see the arm motion? And then catching it one-handed, securing it. We don't see enough deep crossers or deep posts that go to the far side of the field. When guys just fall off of him, right? As he goes up, just a little push as he's, maintaining his body positioning. I've got these in vertical too. So the part of vertical route running as well that in my grading system, it's not just getting downfield. How do you run your routes off of that? This is an all-time highlight play, I think. He had so many last year. 2021. I guess we are starting the new season now. But so you can run vertical, and I mean completely 9 route, whatever you guys want to call it at your school or when you played or whatever. But off of that, once you can do this so many times, once you're just mossing these guys and playing above the rim. Yeah, that one's crazy. I think we get a replay on this one. I'm enjoying these. But so once you're beating these guys deep, they're now afraid of it. So they'll back off a little bit. They'll be playing it more. And now you run the hitches and the comebacks and the out routes. Because you get that guy to flip his hips and open up, and you cut off of it. And that's why you'll see a few of these in this package of highlights that I created. Yes, we're aware of how he manhandled Jalen Ramsey there. But see, like here, this isn't a deep ball, but it's a vertical stem and then a back shoulder, which that's the next level. Once they start playing you upfield, you got to be able to hit the back shoulder stuff 2 in a row. Because now we're in the next year, teams are saying we're not going to let Tee Higgins get downfield. but the Bengals are still going to try it. One-handed grab, contested, I would argue, and then you take a nasty shot. Completely nasty shot here. If you haven't seen that. Now remember when I talked about his 4.2 yards after the catch, this counts as another, 30 yards after the catch? Let's see where it lands. Yeah, 30 yards after the catch. See how he stays free with the arm and then gives a nice straight arm to maintain that separation as he gets on top? That's part of the route running that Higgins has really added to his game.
Wow, touchdown Cincinnati as he took it away from Greedy Williams. He stays over the top of him. Perfect. The ball's coming in.
And then when he can't get over top, as Troy Aikman saying there, T still wins. High points it. Now this is when Jamar Chase was out, and they needed Higgins to be the number one, and he did. Big time he did. Versus the Steelers and the Titans. Completely dominated both games. Now these are all downfield, contested situations, using your body, using your length, using your ability to track the football, high point the football. That's what's in this package. Give him a free release. He looks fast. I wouldn't give him a free release. Stutter step and go.
They have really protected Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase named the Pro Bowl. Burrow looking down the sideline.
I love this tracking here and this catch. We don't get an instant replay, but the way he's able to contort his body backwards and grab it, the back half of that football, special. And then the finish of the year. Just throw it up.
And the Bengals are an extra point away from tying the game. 27 yards. I talked about the adjustments and how high level. And here to Higgins. Guess what, Jim? Wide side of the field.
That's fun. So as I just said, he's much more than a vertical threat. I lead off with a 7.5-minute video on Tee Higgins being an elite vertical threat that can make contested grabs and play above the rim. That is his strength. That's a superpower. We're not going to deny it. But if you're of the team that only thinks he can do that, well, I've got news for you. Tee Higgins is much better. Let's bring the scouting report back up and let's read the rest of it. So it says, overall, we're still talking about an average change of direction and acceleration for Tee Higgins. It's good for a big man, but he's not somebody that you design run after the catch routes for. He's not going to be the guy that gets wide receiver screens or reverses, which ultimately hurts his versatility and ability to help the team in ways other than a traditional receiver. But the Bengals will move T all around, play him at every wide receiver spot, and get him the ball in the intermediate and deep areas of the field. Vertical routes, comebacks, hitches, and in-breaking routes like slants, digs, crossers, and posts to keep his build-up speed and momentum going. With his long stride, he builds up top-end speed where he threatens defensive backs and causes panic once the ball is in flight. There's a chance that we've seen Higgins' best football already. In 2021, Higgins saw 138 targets, caught 92 balls for 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns. Again, remember, this includes the playoffs because of the time missed in the regular season, adds up to amount of snaps played that would equate to a full season. So I included that in there. Tee Higgins route running queued up next. And these are some of my favorite plays showing Tee Higgins as a route runner over the past 3 years. A lot of them in the goal line area. And if I could, actually, let me skip back real quick on this one. The thing that I like about this is you're going to see Higgins is going to have to wait and kind of time this correctly and almost look like he's going to block. And then he's going to leak out, and that's how he's going to get so free. So we'll keep your eyes focused on Higgins in these situations. You see how he got around Boyd there? And that's how he ends up being wide open. No fans in the stands. 2020. So we're going all the way back. That was Higgins' first career touchdown. Bengals tied this game against the Eagles. I also have this under route running. I'm going to end up going back a few times on these to make sure I know why I have them in this category and explain it correctly. But as you'll see, as Higgins is coming across the field, he's got no traffic here. So his first thought is, okay, I can angle this and get away from this defensive back. So it looks like man coverage across. He just has to run to this free space. But you're going to see this linebacker, I believe it's a linebacker, drop into coverage, and it's going to change the angles a little bit as Higgins looks. Burrow does a great job of throwing this between the two, but Higgins actually stops and slows down so that he didn't run into 47's range and kind of goes in between, finds the open area between the two, almost like a triangle. If this was an overhead view, Higgins is like right at the point of the triangle, and Burrow finds him. So good job there. Good correction. Good adjustment. Again, we're at the goal line, and Higgins is going to have to take a mouthful right at the snap of the ball. Watch him as he comes across the middle right here. This guy's trying to get over with Tyler Boyd. This guy's running across. We got man coverage again, and Boyd's coming on a jet motion. This guy's going to smack Higgins right in the mouth, and it actually fall. Higgins is going to eat it while he's being contacted by the corner, and now he's going to run away, and as the ball's coming, he jumps in front of the corner to make the catch. This is tremendous. This is a high-level play. This is part of his skill set, right? Being a big body, catching contested grabs, taking on that contact without it really affecting him. But even still, here's more contact. Here's an adjustment. Make sure you don't run too far. Get into the open area and expect the ball there. So we've got a lot of goal line plays in a row here. It's just not vertical down the field, boxing guys out. Sometimes you got to find a soft area, out-muscle a guy in the red zone, and make yourself available for the quarterback. And Higgins is doing that real quick here. This is route running. This is what we didn't know that Tee Higgins could do. Okay, this getting down in your breaks. When you're a tall receiver, he's at the top of your screen. When you're a tall receiver, to break down and sink your hips and sit in a chair, it's tough. It's not easy. I'm 6'3". Like it's never been easy for taller guys to have that. The shorter guys will get down all the time. They're agile. They can do that. But for Higgins to get down like that and then break out and create separation with it, it's a tremendous route. The fact that he can do that. Now we're going to go off script. He's got to be able to stay and stick with Burrow and become available and get open, because Burrow's going to go off script a whole bunch. And so when Higgins can do that, it shows another level to his game and a connection with the quarterback. We're going to get another one right here. Making himself available, finding the open area, the most open area, and Burrow hitting him there. Again, we're going to get down to the goal line, and Higgins has to make something happen with contact there. You see him shrug off number 3 as he's trying to break free at the top of the route. You're going to get a lot of man coverage down here, and you got to be able to beat it, whether it's with speed and agility or with your strength, physicality, or intelligence. And he does it with everything there. You see the little shrug as he gets free, catches it, both feet down. It's a good play. This one, if it's correct, is one of my favorites. And we're going to go back to it. You may see that as a 15-yard, 14-yard grab, whatever it is, not think too much of it. But as Higgins releases here, now he's in the slot too, which is fun. But he's going to get the release here, so he's not in man coverage anymore. He's reading zone. He knows he doesn't have a defender right on his back. His idea is that he's going to split this second level. Because of the play action, you see a wall here of defenders, of jet defenders. So he thinks, I can get up here into that third level right behind them and expect the ball. But you'll see, I want to go back a little bit more. So bear with me here. I don't have all my controls when I'm doing it like this. I did not expect to do it like this. But see if I can pause it at the right time. Okay. So as it gets bumped here, the middle linebacker, or whatever linebacker this, it doesn't really matter. He flips his hips and opens to the heavy side. So we got two receivers on this side. So he's flipping his hips and he's opening. Probably this could be a Tampa 2. I can't see the backside, but I remember watching the film on this. And he's opening to cover that deep middle. And Higgins is going to see him and realize that I can't keep running up the middle of the field because there's a defender that's carrying me. And if he sits down between that linebacker, between this linebacker who will be up here, this linebacker that's here, and the safety that's over the top, the open area again, that triangle, he's going to be right in here. So watch him as he realizes it. It's a good job. It's a great job. That's a Tyler Boyd route out of the slot. So if Higgins can do that and be that consistently, someone may watch this and not realize, why is Tee Higgins so wide open? Let's go back again. We're doing more X's and O's than I wanted to do here. So this is an inverted cover 2. You're going to see this corner and this corner are actually going to end up being the deep safeties. So they're going to drop back and the safety is going to fall forward. And Higgins recognizes it right away. And you don't have to run downfield. He and Burrow are on the same page. As soon as that area vacates, he slows down and just sits in it. Just hit me with this pass, Joe. So watch as that corner goes back. He just, okay, let me lay up. It's an easy pitch and catch. So that's a good job. He's reading the defense correctly post-snap. I think you think of big body receivers at the goal line getting fades. I don't think we have a fade to show. The Bengals like crossers. They know they're going to get man coverage. Come run with their guys. But Higgins also does a good job there of, like, as he has two defenders that are caught in transition, he kind of shakes them enough to get them to go flat-footed. This is going to be it should be in the run after the catch video I got coming up here. But Higgins' route here is really good as well, as he's going to sell the vertical. So right here, he's going to take one step upfield as if he's going up the field. And what that's going to do is get this guy to open up his hips just enough and to give Higgins the access to the outside. And then powers his way in. Again, good route. Let's get back to the goal line, huh? Looks very similar to how he's catching a lot of these touchdowns, right? So that's Higgins' route running. I think it's developed a lot. We got another video here of specific type of route running and skill set that I think really fits him. I'll cue that up right away. All right, so the type of route running, the type of plays that I want to share are Higgins on inside breaking routes. I put that in the scouting report. I think he's really good at digs, crossers, posts, anything where he can break inside, naturally get body positioning, right? Get inside leverage, use his big body, his long arms, big hands to catch the ball away from his frame and make these contested grabs. I think that's when he's at his best. So let's enjoy a few of these. You'll see in some of these, they're not contested at all, right? Like that last one. He's just open. And that's ideal, but sometimes you got to make a grab over a defensive back. But he gets these open outside and inside breaking routes because of these guys when they bail on the vertical passes. They believe that he's going to run vertical after about 10 to 15 yards and they open their hips and they start running downfield. He breaks it off. And you'll see a lot of routes with like Chase going deep and Higgins cutting underneath, or the tight end going up the seam and Higgins cutting underneath. Like right there, tight end goes out for the flag route, 7 route. And Higgins takes the 5 yard. Really good in these contested situations too. They go to 3 slants to Chase or to Higgins here. Excuse me, sorry, T. I love when he stems inside on his release and then still hits the inside route. Because he gets vertical again and then really breaks it off. We'll have film throughout the season where I'll be able to show it. Right now it's more of a fun. This one too. If I can go back real fast, actually, this is a really good route before we get to a nice play here. So he's going to have to, I said earlier how I like when he inside releases and then gets back on that guy's toes and then snaps it off. I believe this time he's outside of this corner and has to like loop around him and then still get back in front of the ball. So watch him. Oh, it was the underneath defender came back, dropped back. So he had to get around him. Ended up being a little deeper than he thought he had to be. Add that to the run after the catch film. We'll get to that. More slants, making that first guy miss. Because a 4-yard slant's not worth much, but an 8-yard slant, we'll take that. We'll take it on 3rd and 11 to end the game. This is a play the Bengals run a lot. Both inside guys are trying to tie up and create traffic. And then the outside guy is going to cut underneath them. That's a common concept. Same thing happens here, as I talked about earlier. So sometimes a slant, you have to watch that second defender. So as maybe this is Hayden Hurst. I don't think it is. That looks like Hurst. Whoever this might be Wilcox. As he goes to the flats, the defender is going to go with him, right? So as Higgins breaks his first guy, his eyes go inside immediately. Is there a second defender I have to avoid? And here there is. It was Irwin, by the way. And that's Higgins running inside breaking routes. So again, if you're only seeing Higgins run the vertical and catching those contested grabs, lots of inside breakers. To me, it's one of the two, right? He's going to stem outside and go vertical, and he's going to pull the chain and come back and do the comebacks and the hitches and the out routes. But he's also going to do the digs and the slants and the posts and everything that goes with that to make everything look the same until he gets to that break point where he's going to cut. And the inside breaking routes are one of his specialties. So I want to bring you back to the scouting report. So everything we've seen on Tee Higgins so far has been high level, right? He's got great size. I give him a 9.0 there, 8.6 for speed, 8.4 for athleticism. Both, I think, are good for a guy that size. Route running all the way up to an 8.4. I believe when he started as a rookie, I had him as a 6.7. So that's the area he's improved the most over the last 3 years of me grading him. 8.5 for catching. Hands are strong. He has the occasional drop. Not a big deal for a guy that wins a lot of contested and 50-50 situation. Ball skills, 9.0. The way he tracks it, plays it in the air. everything that it takes to win without having that elite athleticism. Physicality is an 8. He's a solid blocker. He will put his head down and run through guys, and that's what gets us to versatility. He's not going to be the guy you give reverses, screens. He's not going to help on special teams, so that kills his versatility grade. Still, it's a 6.8. You can run almost every other route with him, and his run after the catch ability is okay for a guy of his archetype. At least he has the power, which is what we're going to go into next. And to round it off, health and durability, he's missed games every year, 6.8. And then experience and production going into year 4, played in big games, had big moments in playoffs and in the Super Bowl, obviously. So he gets an 8.2 there, still room to grow. And another 2 or 3 years, he'll probably be like a 9 to 9.5 if he can get to a Pro Bowl level and things like that. And that'll really take Tee Higgins' grade up a whole bunch. But I want to focus on that versatility because I got one last video, and that's Tee Higgins with run after the catch opportunities. Surprisingly physical, can get upfield, has a little bit of speed to him. He's just not going to make guys miss. Let's take a look. All right, so we got Tee Higgins here now with some yak opportunities. Let's see how he runs after the catch. It's against the Jaguars. This is his rookie year, 2020. I never thought this would be an area he'd be good at. And I think he's turned into be a decent player there with some highlights like this. It's a nice play. Get upfield, make a guy miss. 4th and 2 here, just so we're clear. Slant with Ian Sample, rubbing each other. We're on the 2021 now. Nice inside fake, gets outside, runs through a tackle. You see some of these, like Jamar Chase would make that guy miss, right? Chase is a freak, but Higgins will still catch this, put his shoulder down. You know what Higgins does have, though? I noted this a few times. He's got good first down awareness. Like when he catches it and he's short of the sticks, he will fall forward for that 3 yards. He's such a big body and so strong that he can do that. And he seems to get that first down. See, like a play like that, he could easily be tackled short of the sticks. He gets an extra 6 to 8 yards out of that. Now this isn't a screen, but it's a smoke route. The guy's playing off that much. Hit him with it. Let him make a guy miss. Because I said earlier, he's not going to get screens and reverses and stuff. But the Bengals will do this, where it's like a play action. He's just sitting in the flats. Bengals like to have a guy in each flat and then 2 deeper routes on every arm most plays. And sometimes you mix it up and he's that guy. This will be the second time we've seen this play, but it's such a nice physical effort play to punch it in. See right there, getting the first down, the way he can turn. And he's just going to put his head down and keep churning for it. Queen and Rokon were going for heads there. This is a fun one. I remember this play in the playoff game. Right? He could have had 0 out of that. Gets 7. Makes it a manageable 3rd down. Again, that first down awareness. And that's Tee Higgins with yak opportunities. Not too many opportunities real, other than, catching the vertical, making a guy miss, and finishing off the play. So I wanted to show those that they're mostly on the in-breaking routes, maybe a couple smoke routes, puts his head down, tries to get that first down. So that sums up Tee Higgins, what he can do, what he can't do. He's not the fastest, not the most agile. He's not going to give you a lot after the catch. But, man, he's a big body receiver that can get downfield, run everything in the route tree, and win with ball skills, win with his size and length, win with his route running even now. And, yeah, I think he could be a number one in an offense. In an offense that had a good quarterback and other good weapons around him. If he goes into free agency in a year or two, whenever that may be, and he's going to a team that doesn't have those weapons or doesn't have that quarterback, I could see him struggling a little bit. But at the same time, maybe we won't have to worry about that. Should the Bengals extend Tee Higgins? Is it in their best interests as a team building and roster building? They've been a great drafting wide receiver team. Maybe you roll the dice on that again if you've been so good at it, right? On the other hand, he's young. He fits Burrow really well. He fits Jamar Chase really well. And I think he wants to be here. And if you can find that middle ground and find it where you're not paying him like a top 5 receiver, but maybe a top 10 to 15 receiver, then I think you jump on it. And you get him while Burrow, T, and Jamar are in their prime years. And you keep that trio together. This has been Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry. The show is sponsored by First Star Logistics. And until next time, Bengals fans.